It's really a great pleasure to join this session. I'm Franziska. I'm the studio manager in SLA Norway, and I'm going to talk a bit about this climate-adapted promenade in Trondheim in the middle of Norway. Just quickly about this is a few of my colleagues standing in the project when we were on the study trip in 2017. Some of you might know SLA. We're pioneering nature-based solution. We very much believe in this nature-based design, and we really believe in creating places for life, and with that we mean all life. So it's for human and for nature. And we currently have 3 studios in Copenhagen, Aarhus, and Oslo. But we're really doing this all over the world. And why we do that, we do believe that it's so important to connect people with new nature and to make nature and its processes a viable and integrated part into urbanization. To reconnect people with nature gives such a strong sense of belonging in many urban places. So this really is about value creation. It is, as we see in a lot of our projects, it's really creating both an economical value in terms of city development. It has, of course, an amazing aesthetical value. It's also this social aspect of the new nature, that we create places for people to meet. And there's, of course, this biological, this whole aspect of climate adaptation, bringing nature back to the city. So this project in Trondheim is almost, I would say, a bit atypical SLA, because it's a very harsh project. It's a very stony project. But it is also getting close to nature. And nature in Norway, of course, sometimes means that it's also a lot of weather. It's a lot of wind, it's a lot of rain. So this is a bit more harsh than in many other countries in Europe. So it is also to create this promenade along the coast that brings you close to these elements which we find quite fascinating. So this is an image from the competition that we did already back in 2009, and then the project was executed in 2014, and it finally won the National Norwegian Landscape Architecture Prize in 2016. Trondheim, as many harbor cities, has suffered in a way. You see the historical center is here in the lower corner of the picture, and then there's this huge harbor area that used to be dominated by infrastructure and harbor activity. And Trondheim has a big project going on in revitalizing this whole harbor area and working on urban development. A bit zoomed out, the historical city center here, and then there's this harbor area that is currently being transformed. Some of you might know the beautiful Nidaros Cathedral. It's a very important place in Norwegian history. So that is right here. So really this old historical center that used to be, in a way, since the late 1800s, when the railway was introduced, the city center was totally disconnected from the old from the water and from the sea, which is so important in Norwegian life. You see an old picture from 2005, just before the competition. The project site is here. Can you actually see my mouse moving? Yes, perfect. So the project area is here, so it's in a way non-existent, as you see in the old picture. It's basically just huge railroad tracks, and the project came into being because Trondheim needed to create a new road to make the city center more car-free, and this whole area changed in character. So if we go to a more recent picture, you see the coastal promenade here. There's still obviously the rail track, and there's this new road. It's also because you can see there's some new development going on here. There's new development here. This also really is about creating a new connection for people to walk along and to reach these new neighborhoods. There's a bridge that can be opened, so but you can cross at that point. When we started the project, weather is, of course, an important factor. Trondheim is relatively mild in Norwegian terms of speaking, can be cold in the winter, but it's relatively mild. One important aspect for the project is the main wind, and that's really hitting from the northeast, and you can really get quite strong and high waves going into the promenade. So we really had to work on creating a very robust structure. There's also quite different in sea levels over time. You see it a bit drawn out here. It's almost 5 meters difference in minimum and maximum over the years. So there is this need to also make a strong promenade that can adapt to the sea level changes. It's a narrow side. This is the narrowest section, so it's really not a lot of space that we had to work on, but we wanted to create different ways of meeting the water. It's, of course, when you have this coastal promenades, certainly in places with a lot of sea level change, it's difficult to meet actually the water because usually it's a few meters down. But we created a certain amount of section. The promenade gets wider, allowing also for greener spaces. And you see this new road that was being built. It's dropping down. It's going into the tunnel in the southern corner, and there we really had the chance to create a larger, lush space that could also be used for activities. The plan is very simple. It's basically a promenade along the sea with this larger park here. You see the new road going into the tunnel, and you see this green belt that basically allows us also to kind of create this buffer between the heavy infrastructure and the promenade. I feel very much related to what Maria told about this natural landscape, and for us this also was like a point for departure in the project. I mean, this amazing light in Norway, the wind, the sea, the plateau you stand on while seeing the sea, this all was very important. So it's really, this whole project is about this poetic meeting between the sky and the sea, and you sometimes get these amazing colors here. And we wanted, even though you're on this promenade quite high, we wanted to create places where you also really could almost go into the sea. So sometimes there is in the fortification, there is like places where you really have stairs that lead you down, where you could go and touch the water. If it's not too cold, you could even go for a swim. That's only for the brave, as the water is quite cold. A picture taken after the opening where you kind of see this overview with a larger activity space and the promenade that is meandering along the coast. And here you see quite well how this green belt is working and kind of creating this promenade that is a bit taken away from railroad and cars. It's interesting what Maria said about the planting and the succession, because we worked on quite a similar scheme here. As you see, the plants, they look quite wild, and that is with purpose. It's natural plants that would grow along the coast in the Trondheim area. And there's a lot of salt in there, so the planting also really needed to be like this natural system that can survive in this harsh coastal climate. And it's really just basically growing natural without pruning, and it's meant to be like this natural succession. So it's not so much, I mean, nature is basically doing the work for us and really also taking back this place. We wanted to create this robust place, and we also wanted to integrate it in the local surroundings. So like in Maria's project, it's also about using the local material, using the local stone. What really was fascinating, when they built the new road, they took out all these greenish stones. And when you see the pictures, you see that these stones were saved from the building the road, and then we put them back into the project because we thought, I mean, this is also nature, and this is also really, really beautiful. So it's really about reusing what already was on site. Another place where you kind of can walk down. I mean, either you're high and then you're protected from the water, or you can also, when the sea level is low, you can walk down and really get close to the water and enjoy being there. Um, of course, it's also, I mean, a promenade, it's for us, it's not only about connecting, it's also a place for obviously people to meet. And this place has really become popular. So there's like few elements which really invite for being there, doing activities. We also created this kind of color scheme that gives it a bit this iconical harbor feel with a bright orange color. There wasn't so much left in that like we could use as a reminiscent of the old harbor, so we kind of had to create this new palette of materials that are there. Again, you see the stones in the foreground, which also is an invitation to sit on, climb on for kids. We also very much believe in that kids rather should play in nature and not necessarily on artificial playgrounds. It's so much more exciting to really experience something in nature. So you see again this kind of color palette and this robustness that gives you this really this feeling of being on the harbor, being close to the sea. and the stones that invite you for sitting, climbing, touching, and this green planting belt that kind of divides it from the railroad tracks. I want to leave you with this beautiful, it's almost like a painting when the weather is right. It's like this beautiful play of colors in the project that we really wanted to celebrate with this project. Thank you so much for having me, and happy to answer your question. Also, please get in touch on whatever you have in mind. Thank you so much.